Hi babies, I'm Abby.
And I'm Bailey. And yes, we're the Camp Sisters.
Welcome to Camp Chat, the podcast where we spiral weekly about literally everything and absolutely nothing.
We're talking weird childhood stories, unsolicited sister advice, true crime deep dives, and silly little things no one asked for.
And the occasional serious moment, but not often.
Think of it like a mega bed. You're cuddling up next to your favorite sisters and watching Training Train. If you know, you know.
We're here every week, or just whenever we feel like it, with new episodes full of stories, confessions, advice, and chaos.
So, run your bathwater, grab your pint of ice cream, and come spiral with us. Welcome to Camp Chat.
1. Action.
Okay. Welcome back, babies.
Welcome back.
As you can see, we are not in the same place anymore.
Sadly. I'm not in the closet either. I decided to break out because I just felt kind of suffocated in there.
Yeah, girl, I'm not in the closet either. I'm in front of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I'm really excited for today's recording. I feel like this is going to give our listeners a bit of an insight into some of the deep dives that we can go on in our sisterly life. It's like a sister love language we have.
Yeah. And I'm still obsessing over this case, but I also cannot commit to the 7-hour day trials.
Oh, so fair. And, if anyone's listening and they're like, what the frick are they talking about? Just bear with us. We're going to get into all of that. Yeah. Before we get into what we're talking about today, let's do just a quick little, just a very quick little catch up. How's your week going, Bill?
It's going good.
Don't share snaps and slaps yet, though.
Huh?
Don't share your snaps and slaps yet.
Oh, I won't. I know that's later on in the outline.
Okay.
But no, my week's going good. It's kind of slowed down. Life has slowed down, so it's been good and chill, and the weather's beautiful. It was so stormy last week, and now it's pretty. So
I love
just
that for you.
Trying to trucking along.
Yeah. Same for me. We're in Dallas, and it's actually storming right now, so that's kind of a bummer, but other than that, it's been really beautiful, and just living our little nomadic life still.
Yeah, in a different place than last week.
Exactly.
No, I decided not to wear my glasses this week because there was a big blue reflection last week that I didn't even know of until we watched it back.
Good call. I kind of liked it. I feel like that should just be your whole personality, is a little glowing blue eyes.
Yeah. No, there's this fly that keeps swarming me. Yeah, no, I'm good. I really loved how, the feedback that we got from our listeners last week. It was just it was I had friends text me, I'm listening to your podcast on the way to work this morning and things like that. So that's just really cute.
I personally liked the way that Katie Kirkbride took notes and then submitted them. So if anyone wants to take notes for this episode, maybe we'll give you a shout out on the next episode.
Yeah, Katie has to keep up to that standard now.
Yeah, we expect detailed notes from her every week. Although she was giving us suggested topics, and one of them was weirdest places you've done it, and I was like, Katie, girl.
Yeah.
This is a family-friendly podcast, okay? My dad might listen to this. I certainly don't want to get into all that.
Yeah, Landon was on the phone with his mom this morning and was like, hey, did you hear about Bailey's podcast? I was like, no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the only people that listen to this are our best friends, and our mom is our biggest fan, for real. Shout out to Marsha. We'll have her on here sometime. But
yeah.
We appreciate you guys being here, and today we're gonna have a really good episode. Let's just tease them a little bit, Billy. Do you want to do the teasing line?
Let me just tease them.
Gear up for
Okay.
it, girl.
So the title of today's episode is I Hit Him, I Hit Him, I Hit Him.
It's not the title of the episode, it's just the teaser.
Oh, you don't think we should call him I Hit It?
All right, so we've stalled long enough. You people are like, I'm sure you're wanting to know what is this all about? If you haven't heard of the Karen Read trial, then welcome. You're about to hear all about it today from the perspective of two girls that probably have no business reporting on court cases and murder.
Absolutely not.
We have no business doing this. So definitely don't stop with just listening to us. I mean, you're going to get our opinions, you're going to get our sort of recap of it all, but there's a lot of other way smarter people out there that can walk you through way more of the details than we're going to do that.
Yeah. And our personal favorite is the Crime Junkie podcast. Their overview of it all. I think it includes everything from the case. And so definitely go watch or listen to that if you haven't already. We also watched the documentary on HBO, and it was definitely I'm glad we watched it, but it's definitely all coming from Karen's side, and it's ooh, I don't know. We'll get into that more later, but it's definitely listen to the podcast.
Definitely start with Crime Junkie, because I feel like they present the information a little bit more less biased, whereas the HBO documentary is all Karen. And let me tell you, we have our own little opinions about Miss Karen, whether we think she did it or not. She's a special girl. So we'll get into that. All right, so let's start. For the people who don't know anything about this case, let's give a little summary. Do you want me to read the summary, or would you like to?
I can read the summary.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of read off of our outline because I don't want to mess up any of the important details, but then the rest of the stuff will just fly out by the seat of our pants. But this time I'm gonna just read it off. Okay, so will you share your screen and show a picture of John O'Keefe?
Of course, I would love to. Okay.
I really can't say his name without thinking it's John O'Keefe.
Oh, not what I love to hear. Let me just share. Okay, hold up. Okay, here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is my little. Well, I'm just gonna do this. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna outline some key characters for you guys.
Yes. Okay. So I wish I had this as I was going through the Crime Junkie podcast, because all the names get kind of jumbled. So feel free to reference this back as you watch or listen to that podcast. But this is 46-year-old Boston police officer John O'Keefe. He was found dead outside in the snow, outside a home in Canton,
Massachusetts.
Okay. Boston.
Yeah.
Boston. I was like, wait. It's Boston. On January 29th, 2022. So this is a fairly recent case. I feel like a lot of the ones I listen to, especially on Crime Junkie, are years ago, 80s or 90s. And so it's kind of cool to know it was only 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Karen Read, will you go to the next slide, is a former finance professor, and she is on trial for his murder. She's on trial for second-degree murder of her boyfriend, which is John O'Keefe. And he was found dead outside in the snow, like I just mentioned. Oh, let me just say, this house that he was found dead outside of was also a fellow police officer that worked with John O'Keefe. So that's also an important detail to know.
Right.
Prosecutors claim that Karen, after a night of drinking and a possible fight, drunkenly hit John O'Keefe with her SUV while dropping him off, then left him to die in the snow. But her defense argues she's been framed as part of a police-led cover-up, claiming John O'Keefe was actually injured inside the house during a party hosted by law enforcement and his body was dumped outside. The case has become a true crime internet sensation with viral theories, suspicious text messages, and a deeply divided public unsure of whether she's a killer or not.
Yeah.
So it's this big conspiracy case that is a lot more political than people are looking at facts instead of they're making it way more political than they are looking at the facts, I feel like.
Yeah, and I'll just say we're going to get into a bit of a timeline in a second to give you guys all the clues that the detectives have picked up on and that have been presented at trial, but I'll just say as some people that have followed this case and have listened to multiple podcasts now and have been following her second trial, it's a tough case because there is pretty solid evidence on both the prosecution and the defense side. So it's difficult to say fully who did it because even though the defense is kind of arguing a conspiracy theory, they have some pretty solid evidence to back it up, or at least some pretty solid evidence to counter the prosecution.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also after watching the documentary, me and Abby were like, oh, she did it for sure. And so then it's but then you really look at all the facts that both of them argue and you're like, did she?
It's an odd case. It's an odd case. And the biggest, which we'll get into this in a second, but the biggest thing that makes this case so difficult is the weather conditions of this night. So there was a blizzard that happened on this night. And so a lot of the evidence, as they're at the crime scene and finding the body and recovering some evidence, it wasn't handled very well or preserved very well because of blizzard conditions. And so, it really makes it a difficult case to crack. Before we get into timeline, I'm just going to run through a couple of other pictures of people so that you know who we're talking about. So we've already talked about John O'Keefe. Also, he should really stay at the center of this because we're even calling it the Karen Read trial because that's what it's known as by the public. It's all about Karen, But really it's all about John. He's the one who died. It's his story. So he's at the center of it all. That's why he's number one. Then you have Miss Karen Read, who we have special opinions about, but for the sake of presenting facts, we're not going to get into that just yet. Then you have these three. So these are the Alberts. These are the people who lived at the home that John was killed at. So at the top, you have Brian Albert, who is also a Boston police officer, his wife, Nicole Albert, and then their son, Colin Albert, who was the one who was hosting the party that night that they all came over for, essentially.
And I think they, don't they have a daughter as well?
They do, yeah.
But so it was Colin.
There's a lot of people involved in this case, and I just feel like you don't need to know about all of them.
No. It was really Colin's birthday party. He had a lot of people over for, I think it was his 23rd birthday party. And I just think it's funny that the parents joined in.
Yeah, it is kind of odd, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. I also remember them saying that Colin had some beef with John, and I can't quite remember why they had beef, but they had some kind of argument in the past, and that kind of plays into why the defense is arguing that there may or may not have been a fight inside of the house. But anyways, those are the Alberts. Then you have Jen McCabe, who's a really central person in the defense's argument. They find some text messages on her phone, some calls that were kind of covered up and were kind of sneaky and slimy, and then also a Google search, which, if you know anything about this case, it's a very iconic Google search that was made on Jen McCabe's phone at 2 a.m. in the morning before John's body was found, that Googled "Haas long to die in cold," which obviously was a typo. It's how long to die in cold.
And I think Jen is related to the Alberts. She is
Oh, I think she's
sister.
Nicole's sister.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. She's
So
related
that's
to
how
them.
she's related.
Yeah, everyone's connected. Then you have Trooper Michael Proctor, who's a very special man, and he is the main detective of this case. You will also find he is very close family friends with the Alberts, the McCabe's, you know, there's a conflict of interest for sure. From the very beginning, Trooper Michael Proctor should not have been on this case. And then as we go on to this case, you'll find that he did some pretty disgusting, slimy things, and that really helps the defense's argument that just, if anything, that this case was not conducted properly.
For sure.
And then lastly, we were going to just show you Alan Jackson, not the country music singer, but Mr. Alan Jackson, the defense attorney, up top. And then David Yannetti, that is Karen's defense team. They're honestly really baller. I would want them as my defense attorneys if I committed murder.
For sure.
Or if I was
there is
murder.
Yeah, there is one more key character that I feel like we should add.
Okay.
Brian, the other Brian.
Oh, yeah. Brian
Higgins?
Higgins. Can I read? Yep, that's right. So he was another guy there that night. Oh my gosh, yes. How did I forget Brian Higgins? Okay.
Well, as we were going through it, I didn't think of it either. But as we were talking about the other Brian, I thought of him.
Yes.
But he is very much connected with Karen, which we'll later talk about as well. But definitely has some shady things going on.
Has some shady things for sure. Also a Boston police officer. So Karen's whole thing from the very beginning is I am going up against a blue wall. And there's been a lot of like political stuff, like Bailey was saying, especially surrounding Boston police and the way they kind of protect each other and get away with things in the past. And so that's kind of the defense's whole standpoint. And Karen very quickly throughout this trial grows a following for that very purpose. People that have felt betrayed by the police, especially the Boston police, are really like her fangirls and show up to the trial. Like, honestly, what the heck do these people do for a living? I don't understand how they have the time on their hands to go like support Miss Karen every day, but good for them.
They're like all decked out in pink because she like said something about her favorite color being pink one time.
Right.
And then they show up to the trial every single day in pink.
Yeah, it's really special.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk through some timeline and present like the basic order of events for everyone. Okay. And then we'll get into our own opinions, which will be more fun. Once again, please like listen to Crime Junkies. Please listen to that one because they're going to do a much better job of outlining all this. But we'll give you a quick little idea.
I think the Crime Junkie podcast was like an hour and a half long, and that was like them like like they weren't talking about anything else. It was just this. And so we don't want to make our episodes like that long.
Right. We're trying to keep our episodes no longer than like 45 minutes max. So we're going to be really sprinting through this. Okay.
Yeah.
So when is this again? January 29th, 2022. That morning, John and Karen, who are boyfriend and girlfriend, they get in a little fight, as couples do. I don't think it was anything crazy. John is taking care of his niece and nephew.
His sister had passed away, and so he
He's
came in and like helped out with them.
Yes, and I think they got into a bit of what sounded like almost like a parenting fight where it's like they had differing opinions on how to approach something with the kids. And so Karen gets upset. She goes to her house. She's not staying at his house right now. But they have plans later that night to meet up at a bar. And so they did have a fight that morning, but by the time that they show up at the bar, this is like shortly after midnight, they seem to be fine. We have camera footage of them at this bar. It's called the Waterfall Bar and Grill. Actually, they go to another bar before they go to Waterfall. So this is before midnight. They meet up, just the two of them. They're, laughing, hugging, like they're fine. It seems like the fight has kind of dissolved. And so then after they spent about 2 hours at that bar, just the two of them already drinking a lot, then they go to Waterfall Bar and Grill in Canton. And this is on the 28th, sorry, January 28th, not the 29th. and they meet a group of friends, which includes the Alberts, it includes Jim McCabe, it includes all those people, Brian Higgins, that we were talking about before. And they spend quite a bit of time at Waterfall Bar and Grill, and they have some drinky drinks, okay?
A lot of drinky drinks. Like it's like whenever they started really breaking it down in the documentary, like it was like nine. I that
It
might
was
be
like 9
totally,
drinks in the course of like 2 hours.
yeah, yeah. That might be not fully accurate, so check us on that. But I think it was around like 7 to 9 drinks in 2 hours,
Which
which
is
is insane.
outrageous to me. I mean, but also these people, they're New Englanders, and
Yeah.
they're from Boston, and that's just kind of like a little bit more the culture there. So I'm sure they have a way better tolerance than like your girl here.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's still a lot though. Like definitely drunk. Definitely drunk.
But they're all
Um
like in the video footage, like it looks like they're all having a good time. Like nobody
mhm,
stands out
right.
from one another. Like nobody's angry at each other. It looks like they're all having so much fun. So,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. So then shortly after midnight, that is when the party gets moved to the Alberts. They're like, yo, our son is having his 23rd birthday. You're all invited.
Come
And
over.
so, yeah. So they hop in Karen's SUV, her and John, and they ride to the home of Boston police officer Brian Albert. And that is where police said people from the bar were meeting back up. All right, so they're all there. This is where stories get cloudy of what happened. So at 1 a.m., the court documents later revealed that in the weeks before, and even the hours leading up to the night out, text messages between Reed and O'Keefe, as well as voicemails, showed a strained relationship. Investigators said that around 1 a.m. on January 29th, Reed allegedly left O'Keefe a voicemail that said, "You are a effing loser, effing yourself, blah, 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 blah," lots of F words, okay?
Yeah.
Lots of those hateful words. I hate you, she says. I think she calls him like a pedophile or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think so, actually.
Something crazy. Okay, right.
Yeah.
So clearly she's upset. We have documents of that. All right. Fast forward between
So, wait, can I add one thing
you
in there as well? Um, Whenever they showed up at the house, they were like, Karen was like, I just want to make sure that we are welcomed because
right.
they didn't know the Alberts personally. They knew the McCabe's, I think, but they
Mhm.
did not know the Alberts, and this was their home. And so she was like, I just want to make sure that we're welcome there. And so John was like, I will go in and check, says Karen, says
Yeah,
Karen.
this is all coming from Karen.
Yeah, I will go in and check, and see if we're allowed here. So he supposedly goes into the house and never comes back out. And then that's when Karen gets like really pissed and starts like leaving him all the voicemails and starts going home.
Right.
And she was like, I'm gonna leave your niece and nephew at the house alone, which like she wasn't going to, but she was just like
Like
threatening. They were in a fight, and she was just pissed because she said something like, I thought he went in there and was like cheating on me because he never came back out.
right. Which is
So,
seems a little crazy, but again, these people are
yeah,
so drunk. Like
yeah,
nothing like the events are foggy because they're drunk to begin
right.
with. So no one has a super clear memory, which is really tough.
Yeah.
And like we said, meanwhile, a blizzard is on its way. Very fun. All right, so fast forward between 4 and 5 a.m. So this is like between 1 and then like 4 and 5 a.m. We just like honestly have no idea what happens. We have Karen's side of the story, which is he went in, he didn't come out, so I left him. And I went back to his house. Then you have the other people saying he never came in the house. Like we never saw John O'Keefe come in the house. I think Karen killed him because he never entered this household.
Yeah.
Between 4 and 5 a.m., while heavy snow was falling, O'Keefe's niece, so John O'Keefe's niece, who is living in the house with him and with Karen sometimes, calls Jen McCabe, and she said that Reed was distraught because O'Keefe had not come home and was not answering his cell phone. According to court documents, McCabe said she heard Reed screaming, "John didn't come home. We had a fight." Around 5 a.m., Reed called another woman whose husband was friends with John O'Keefe. Prosecutors alleged that Reed said while they searched, "What if he's dead? What if a plow hit him? I don't remember anything from last night. We drank so much, I don't remember anything." So they're saying that, like, Karen's distraught and she's let some of these comments come out of, like, what if he's dead? What if a plow hit him? I think this is around the time that people say, or no, that comes later on, just kidding. But in a second, you'll hear that people think she actually admitted to hitting him. But anyway, so that happens around 5:07. Reed, McCabe, and a third woman who's one of their friends go looking for John O'Keefe. And let's see. Oh yeah, at 5:07, a surveillance camera on O'Keefe's house shows Karen's SUV coming extremely close to John O'Keefe's SUV in the driveway. This is a really important thing. So it's basically saying the next morning, as Karen's, like, worried about John and she wants to go look for him, she's leaving his house, taking her car, and there's a video, like, camera that catches her backing up, and her back right tail light hits his car. Like, I've seen the video. If you watch the HBO documentary, it's pretty hard to argue that, like, she didn't hit it at all. Like, it definitely hit the car. You can see it kind of, like, rock. Do we know if that broke the taillight then and there? I don't know. But the broken taillight is a really important piece of this whole trial, because broken pieces of the taillight were also found in John O'Keefe's clothing and around the crime scene, which is why people say that she hit him. Okay? But then in Karen's defense, it could have been from hitting the car as she's leaving at 5:07 in the morning to go look for him. Then, around 6 a.m., Reed sees O'Keefe lying in the snow outside of Brian Albert's home. An emergency responder said that while hysterical and inconsolable, Reed repeatedly yelled, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." The defense argues that one of the first responding officers from Canton Police gave false and deceptive testimony to the grand jury that would later indict Reed. So the whole "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him" thing, several people testify in court that she said that at the crime scene. The thing that gets me is that not one of these responders, not one of these police officers, no one recorded this in their notes from the crime scene whatsoever. They have someone admitting that they did it. Whether they know if it's a murder or not at this point, they have the person saying, "I hit him," and they're not going to record it in their notes. It just, like,
Right.
that doesn't make any sense to me. And they had police footage, like, from the police car of the whole thing. Like, and it's a blizzard, so it's kind of hard to hear, but you can kind of hear what Karen's saying and what the police officers are saying, and you never hear on camera her saying, "I hit him."
Right.
So
Yeah, it just seems very bizarre for, like, somebody to sit there and tell you, like, "I hit him," but nobody record that at the time, and then to all, like, later testify in court, like, "Oh, she said this," but nobody said it at the time that she said that. It just doesn't make sense.
And it's things like that throughout this entire case that makes you just kind of weary of the prosecution. Like, it's like, no one did their due diligence. Like, these people were collecting evidence. The police officers collected evidence in red Solo cups. It just feels like, which, I mean, some people argued it's a blizzard. You had to do what you had to do. They weren't expecting it to be a homicide when they showed up, and maybe they didn't have the tools they needed on them to collect evidence, but it just seems really careless.
Yeah.
So.
And, like, yet again, he's a police officer. All of his friends are police officers. Like, that's why everybody's like, this is definitely a cover-up from, you know, what other evidence shows, too. Right. So, it's all just, like, very bizarre case. I feel like we should bring up, well, are we going to get into the trial at all? Like,
you know, I almost feel like at this point we can kind of present the two theories, and then we can get into some of our personal conclusions, and if there's any extra, like, evidence that feels important to us to have come to those conclusions, then we can share that. Sure. But again, we would be on this call for hours if we were trying to present all the
stuff. Yeah. Okay, I agree. That's perfect.
So honestly, like this episode is best listened to probably after you've watched or you've listened to the podcast and watched the documentary. Then you can come and get our personal opinions. But we're not here to try to lay out all the facts.
No, for sure not. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good.
So basically, we have these two theories, right? We have the prosecution saying Karen done it. Yeah. She done hit him, she done killed him. And she was angry while she was doing it. So even though she was super drunk, it was on purpose.
Which, like, she was drunk. Like, how would she know either way if she hit? Like, she had 9 drinks within the first 2 hours. That doesn't count any drinks she had after that. And they even both left the bar with drinks, like, in their car. Yeah. And so, like,
DUI vibes for sure. They for sure are charged of that.
Yeah.
So that's theory number 1, or that's theory number 1. Theory number 2 is this idea of like a corrupt blue wall. This idea that something happened in the Alberts' home. Something went down. A fight ensued. They did something that maybe it was a fight that wasn't supposed to end in him being really hurt or possibly dead, but it did. And then there had to be some kind of cover up to cover it up. And we've got all these Boston police officers, and like, who knows how to cover up a crime better than Boston police officers is kind of
they know what the police officers are going to be on the lookout for. So.
Right. Okay, so now that we've kind of presented that, Billy, I want to hear your personal conclusion.
Yeah. It's so hard because I think I could go either way. Like, I could argue either way. And so I'm really interested to see, I don't think we've mentioned this yet, but the first trial, the jury could not figure out whether she did it or not. And so it ended in a mistrial. Mm-hmm. And then currently, as of April 2025, they're starting trial number 2. So we are currently like staying up to date with that. I have not in the last couple of days though, so I do not know where we stand with trial number 2 right now. But all that to say, like, it's a really hard case that the jury couldn't even figure out one way or the other. My gut says that Karen probably did do it. And that, like, she just wasn't aware of what she did, and, like, if she did do it, she didn't remember it the next morning. There are some, like, key evidences that point to her doing it, like the tail light was busted out. He had glass, like, in his face from the tail light. And they were also in a fight, so she had motive, things like that. But it's so hard because I could also see it the other way around, being like, the police officers do know how to make it look like somebody else did it if something else happened. The thing that got me too with like Karen's side is so they recorded that the car went backwards, reversed, at 26 miles per hour, which is so fast for reverse. But like it went for, I think it was at 60 feet.
Yeah.
60 feet it went in reverse at 26 miles per hour. But it's also like he was not found right by the road. Like he was in the yard. So, like, could it have launched him?
Like, several feet in the yard. Like, I think maybe 6 to 8 feet into the yard.
Yeah. Because I know 26, like, miles per hour is fast for reverse, but, like, could that have launched him that far as it did?
I don't know. And the other thing that gets me is if you look at his injuries, he was not injured at all from, like, the chest down. He had severe head injuries, which I think is what caused a lot of the blood loss, and he had his arms were really scraped up, which they did not actually find consistent with motor vehicle accidents. They said it almost resembled more of like a dog bite type thing, and they did test it for like canine DNA, and they didn't find any canine DNA, but they did find pig DNA, which is really odd to me. And like, I don't know, they're can be pig DNA in dog food. So like it's all just the evidence is odd in this
Yeah.
case.
And the Alberts did have like a pretty aggressive dog. That not like a pretty aggressive type of dog. I don't remember what type of dog
I
it
don't
is.
either.
But
And it was known to get
um
in fights.
yeah, and then they got rid of it like a month after the
Yes,
murder.
they got rid of the dog. Her name was
Yeah.
Chloe, special
Chloe.
Chloe. They got rid of Chloe, and they also sold their house.
Yeah.
And Brian Albert ditched his phone right after this. Like he went to a military base to dispose of his phone. And so they couldn't use his phone to collect any evidence because he had disposed of it, which he claimed had to do with other police work he was doing, but also
I
seems
think
really
Brian
sketchy.
Albert and Brian Higgins both disposed of their phones. If I'm
Oh,
not
really?
mistaken, I think it was actually Brian Higgins that drove it to a military site, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
All the Bryans, it's hard to keep
Yeah,
up with.
yeah,
Um, yeah. And there's one of their key witnesses was another Brian named Brian Lucky. And Mr. Brian Lucky is the snowplow driver that came through there at 3 in the morning or something like that. And he claims he didn't see a body. Again, it's snowy. How much do you really trust that? The defense really argued, like, why did no one leaving the house see the body? The body's right by the road. And if Karen would have hit him, then by the time everyone left the party, they would have been able to see the body. But then prosecution is like, well, but he would have been on the other side of the yard. If it's snowing and it's cold and you're just trying to get in your car and leave, you may not be looking. And so, just for real, like the evidence is all over the place, and yeah, it's really difficult to make like a
I
firm
forgot how
conclusion.
many or like how many feet of snow it was that night, but it was
It was a lot. It was
insane.
like a record amount of snow.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I would say honestly, Bill, like which we like have watched and like listened to all this stuff together, so it's not surprising that we have like the same opinion, but I have the same opinion. I feel like Miss Karen did do it, and
Yeah.
I feel like she was very drunk, and I feel like it's possible she doesn't even really fully know that she did it because she was so drunk.
Right.
I feel like she definitely could have been upset, and that would have caused her to reverse really fast and leave, but I don't necessarily feel like it's like hardcore, premeditated murder. It just sounds like a bad, terrible accident that is resulting from way too much alcohol, in
For
my
sure.
opinion.
Yeah.
I do think that the Alberts and Mr. Brian Higgins and Jen McCabe, honestly, are all sketchy. And I don't know if they're trying to cover up something else that they just didn't want the public finding out about because they knew that their phones were going to be collected and evidence was going to be collected. But there are several phone calls and text messages that they deleted from their phones, including like Brian Higgins and Brian Albert calling each other back and forth like 2 different times or 4 different times the evening that John O'Keefe died, and they testified that they never did that. They testified that it was butt dials. But it
And
shows
it
them
was
calling, answering, being on there for like 20 seconds, hanging up, and then calling, answering, being on for like 10 seconds, hanging up.
exactly. And that was weird because it was like I think it was actually when Brian Albert said he was like at home being intimate with his wife and like they had gone to sleep and he was like not on his phone, but it shows that they like answered 4 different times each other
Right.
and like had a even like a 20 something second conversation.
Right.
um and then the house lawn to die in the cold theory, like Jen McCabe says that she was searching like right before they
This is
like
like
went to
2
bed or
a.m.
whatever. Yeah, it was like 2 a.m. and she was searching something with her daughter's basketball league, like her schedule or something on that same browser. And then whenever they found his body the next morning, Karen was like, look up how long to die in the cold so that they could see like how long he'd been out there possibly. And she opened up that same browser and searched that then. So all that to say, like they had different like phone record people come in and like testify and they said different things. They each like testified for the prosecution and the defense side. And so it's like
Yeah,
It
like
could go either way.
the one who testified for the prosecution said it's because of the iOS that she has on her phone. If she opened that browser at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night to look at her daughter's basketball league scores, and then got on that same browser at 6 a.m. in the morning to see how long to die in the cold, then it's going to show that she searched that at 2 a.m. because that's when the browser was opened. For the defense, the guy says, no, that's actually like not how that works. It was searched at 2 a.m. and then it was deleted. And so it's just like, it's frustrating and confusing evidence because it's like, it's 2025. I feel like our technology should be able to like we should be able to know these things. You know what I mean?
For sure. Without a doubt. Like, it should just, like, be
Yeah.
one way or that. Like, it should not be, it could go either way. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Also, I
It's a
looked
lot
up
of-
how many inches of snow, and it's saying around 18 that night. So,
It's a lot.
it's like there's a lot of evidence
Mm-hmm.
prior to to like, you know, them finding the body, but it's like after that 18 inches of snow, like what's covered up.
Yeah. And like I feel like we can say this now, but like Miss Karen, she's a special narcissist, I think. Right? Like
For
narcissist
sure. No,
vibes
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Like
She
watching
loves
her,
the attention.
like, she
Loves
loves
it.
it. And like when we
Yes.
listened to the Crime Junkies podcast, we honestly were kind of leaning of like, oh well, maybe Karen didn't do it, and maybe like blah blah blah. But then we watched the HBO documentary, and I was like, Karen, homegirl, you would
You
have been
did
in a
it.
much better place if you would have like never been on this documentary, because this does not make you look good.
No, and she's the one that did it. She's making herself look bad.
Yeah, I don't know. She basically is like, this is all about me. Like I know John died, and it should be about him, but really it's all about me.
She'll say stuff in the documentary where we were like, oh my goodness, because she would be like, I've kind of gotten over him, you know, I'm trying to save myself now. And it's like,
Yeah, girly
oh
pop. Your language,
my
soften it. Just
gosh. Yeah.
yeah,
Anyways.
really special case. But that's kind of the overview of her. We're at
Yeah,
41
I feel
minutes
like,
right now.
no, I feel like
Yeah.
that, honestly, like, obviously there's some details, some key details that we left out of. The one thing that I did want to mention about Brian Higgins is that Brian Higgins and Karen were like sexting.
Anything.
And yeah, so like she was cheating on John with one of his like coworkers
Right.
while they were together. And so it's like that gives him a motive possibly to kill John O'Keefe. So
It feels
that's
a
like
little
one
intense
thing that I
of
wanted
a
to
motive
mention.
to me, but a motive nonetheless, I guess.
I mean, hey, it happens.
It
It
does.
happens for
sadly.
sure. But all that said, I feel like that was a pretty good overview for like, there's definitely more details. Go watch it, go listen. But
Yeah,
you kind of get an overview if you don't have the time to go do that.
for sure.
So,
For sure. And maybe we probably won't do like another full episode on Miss Karen vibes. But maybe we could do a little check-in when the trial. Can you hear my thunder?
I hear that, yeah.
The second episode with thunder. But maybe we can do a little check-in when the second trial ends, and I really
Yes.
hope they make a decision. I didn't say this in my conclusion, but I do think there's not enough evidence to convict her of murder. Like I just
Yeah, I
don't.
agree.
I think she for sure will be sued in a civil court by his family, and like that's whatever. is
She'll
what
get
it
charged
is.
for the DUI. She'll get charged for
Yeah.
what is it? What is it when it's like an accident?
Uh,
We should know that.
an accidental kill.
Yeah, like it wasn't like she killed him on purpose, maybe, question
Mhm.
mark. But I don't think it should be second degree.
No, for sure not secondary, and I don't even think there's enough solid evidence, like, just from a, whatever, like, I can watch her on HBO and be like, I kind of think she did it, whatever, but, like, from a factual standpoint, I don't think there's enough evidence to convict her of anything other than a DUI. I really don't. I think that maybe she gets away with murder, but I just don't think that there's enough evidence to convict the woman, and unfortunately, there's way too many situations in our justice system where people do get convicted of murders that they did not do, and there's just not enough evidence to be like, she 100% did it.
Yeah, for sure.
So it should be innocent till proven guilty, and in this case, I don't think she can be proven guilty fully.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But what do I know?
We don't know anything, actually.
We are actually,
clueless.
Useless, actually, but...
No, for sure. Should we do snaps and slaps?
Let's do snaps and slaps. I was gonna add a sound effect last time, and I forgot, and honestly, kind of feels like a lot of work, but...
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do that.
Maybe one day if we have an editor, we'll do a little sound effect, and that would be very fun and cute. But
yeah,
why don't you start, Billy? You have it
okay.
written down, so you're
ready. I started thinking about this while I was looking over everything, because I was like, I sometimes forget once I get asked this on here. But I'll start with my slap first to end on a positive note. But we are getting closer to baby number 2 being here, which is so exciting. But I'm getting a little stressed that I have nothing done. So I'm starting to be like, we need to do all these things. But, baby number 2, he really just needs a place to sleep, and we'll figure it out. Also, my slap for the week is I went to get boba tea today, and I was so excited for it, and it was like the worst thing I've ever tasted in my entire life. It was basically like watered down milk.
Ugh.
With tapioca in it.
Mm-mm.
It was really bad. Landon was like, this sucks. And then my snap for the week is Beckham's been really extra cuddly at night and wanting me to rock him to sleep, which is just so sweet. Last night it wasn't that cute, I will not lie, because he didn't go to sleep till almost 11.
Oh.
So it wasn't that cute last night, but the nights before, loved it. He was like crying for me, and I went in there and got him, and he was just rubbing my face and saying thank you over and over. I was like, tears. It was, I know, it was so sweet. And then Landon's off today, so we're having a chill, like productive but chill day, and he's kind of had a busy week, so I'm just thankful for the slowness of today. This is all I have on my to-do list today, so
love it.
It's been good. Yeah.
Well, I've cried twice since we left Arkansas, and both of those times were because I just started thinking about Beckham and how much I love him, and then tears flowed from my eyes.
Yeah.
So, I love him so much.
I've listened to our outro so many times because I love his bye bye bye.
Bye 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 bye. He's perfect. Well, cute. I love that. Yeah. My slap would probably be, I honestly don't have like hardcore slap. I don't really have a hardcore slap right now, but this is just kind of a silly little slap. It felt like a slap for sure, but we had a wedding this weekend, and it's one of Carson's like college buddies that got married, and we show up at the rehearsal dinner. It's at a barbecue restaurant, and we're told it's very casual. Like, there's not even speeches happening, where like the groom is like, I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt. It is like super casual. Don't dress up. So I come, and I feel like I'm like coming with the perfect vibe. I have like my black jeans on and a little cute black tank that's like spaghetti strap and it has like a little like flare out situation. I have some cute little sneakers on, and I'm just feeling adorable. And I show up, and every single girl in that entire place was wearing not just dresses, but like some of them fancy dresses.
Some cocktail style.
Some cocktail
formal
dresses.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly so underdressed. Well, so underdressed with the girls, because the guys were wearing like jeans and t-shirts, but then the girls like went hardcore for rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
And I just was like, okay, why do guys not, like, get the deets, you know? Like, I'm not even gonna blame this on Carson because he's just relaying information, but I shouldn't have gotten my information from the groom, but also I only know the groom, so what else am I supposed to do?
Jail time.
Jail time for the boys. And then on that kind of that same note is my snap, and that is I got really close to the WAGs. Are you familiar with WAGs?
I feel like I've heard of that.
The wives and girlfriends.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the WAGs of the brethren. So we call Carson's little college like squad of friends. They're like they all went to engineering school together. We call them the brethren because they're like it's like a little cult, and they all like kiss each other's booties and like
Love it.
like yeah, they're obsessed with each other. Okay, and so me and one of the WAGs, we started coining them as the brethren. And so the WAGs of the brethren, it's not that we've never like, we just haven't really been close. Like I feel like we all have really different like personalities and backgrounds and we're not like together much, like maybe once a year for a wedding. But I feel like this wedding specifically, we all got really close in like a really fun, silly way. And like as the boys were getting ready for the wedding, we went and did like hot yoga together and got lunch together and coffee, and then we rode together to the wedding. And and this is funny, but we were like realizing in the car that if we all put the little bits of information that our men tell us together, then we actually get a fuller picture of what's going on with the brethren. Because you know how guys will just give you like little bits and pieces of information. Like Carson will go on like a week-long snowboarding trip with his friends, and he'll come back and I'll be like, how's so and so, like who are they dating now, what's their job like, and he doesn't know the answers to any of it, but he'll give me like some random piece of information that doesn't really fit. But if all the WAGs get together and we share the news that has been presented to us by our men, then we get a very clearer picture.
Love it.
So we've started our own little group message, and just my snap is that I think we're going to be able to do some couples trips in the future because we're finally at a point where most of the guys are like married now or like have long-term relationships. And so in the past, they haven't really wanted the WAGs to come around much on trips, but now majority rules, you know?
Are they still in Texas right now? Like, have y'all been able to hang out after the wedding or no?
No.
Okay. They went home.
They left immediately. Everyone did. So.
Cool.
Bye.
Perfect. Well, that sounds so fun. I love that.
It was cute. Yeah, I really loved the involvement of everyone from our last episode. Submitting things, comments on YouTube, you know, Instagram comments, things like that. If you're listening, one of the best ways you can support us right now is by leaving us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. If you're gonna leave less than 5 stars, no ma'am. No ma'am.
Don't do it.
Don't you even dare. It needs to be 5 stars or nothing, baby girl.
Yeah, because those 1-star reviews, I will say, as business owner, can really wreck that business owner to tears.
It's just like there's no need to bring us down like that. You know what I mean? Like, we're not doing this to be serious, so just don't bring us down like that. Only give us 5-star reviews or nothing else.
Wait, what's our next episode on? Is it our jobs?
I think it's our jobs.
Okay. So tune in next week for a recap of our jobs.
Yeah, we're like trying to think through exactly how to do that because we want to like share the like funny things, especially with Bailey and like wedding stuff, but we're also like we can't out anyone, you know what I mean? Like we can't out anybody.
No, absolutely not.
We're gonna think through how to do that.
Cute and fun because I love my job so much.
I know, and I love my job. Yeah. So grateful.
So grateful.
Yeah, I will link all of the like Karen resources in the show notes. So if anyone wants to deep dive, you're welcome to look at those. Is there anything else that you need to say to the babies?
I don't think so. I think we had talked about like filming on Mondays and getting the episode out anywhere between Mondays and Fridays of the week. So expect it anywhere between Monday and Friday.
Exactly.
So just not Saturday and Sunday because that's our rest days.
That's our rest days. And so to leave everyone Billy, I just would love for you to share one sentence of empowering words.
Oh my gosh.
Don't get naked while you do it. You can stay clothed.
Yeah. Let me try not to. I guess just like, what are we in the rush for? Like, like I feel like I go through my life in my daily routine where I'm like running around the house, like picking up stuff and cooking and cleaning and going and doing, and I'm like, what am I even rushing for?
No, there's no need.
There's no need. So I guess my words of wisdom is, what's the rush?
What's the rush? Sit with that, ponder it, and we'll see you next time, babies.
We'll see you next time. Bye.